So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time. Now, needless to say this, just watching this lecture would be job half done because you will quickly forget these current affairs which you have just studied. You need to revise it. And you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. Okay, so do not forget to do that if you really want to remember these current affairs till your exams. Okay, all right, let's begin today's session. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. Okay, so let's begin. So daily current affairs, 27th September, Saturday, and here is the topics list. Number one topic is related to weakening of rupee. Rupee is sliding against dollar. At one point of time, it was 80, now it has reached 88, and this decline is not stopping. So what are the factors behind this? We will talk about this. Then next topic is related to Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. This law basically regulates foreign funding to NGOs. Recently, Government of India cancelled the foreign registration license of Sonam Wangchuk, the man who's leading Ladakh protests. Okay, so what is this FCRA Act? We'll talk about this. Then scientists have found a way, third topic, scientists have found a way to basically transform Rajasthan's deserts into fertile soils. This is known as soilification technology. So we'll talk about soilification technology. And in the end, we'll talk about AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, that gives armed forces some special powers to control the security situation. Now, this law has been extended in Manipur. So these are the four topics that we shall zero in our attention on. The first topic is related to economics portion of your UPSC syllabus. The second topic is related to, well, internal security and polity also. Polity portion of your UPSC syllabus. The third topic is related to science and technology and environment portion of your UPSC syllabus. And last is completely related to security portion of your UPSC syllabus. Okay, so these are the four topics. Let's start discussing them one by one, starting with topic number one, and that is weakening of rupee. Okay, now for this entire month of September, rupee has been declining vis-a-vis dollar. Okay, it was 84, then 85, then 86, 87, 88, and every day it is reaching historical lows. Now, this is despite the fact that dollar itself is declining against other currencies. Now, if dollar itself is declining, then rupee should have appreciated. But despite this decline in dollar, rupee is declining further against dollar. Now, this is weird and this is problematic also. Okay, so what are the factors behind this? Why is rupee sliding against dollar? Okay, what are the reasons behind this? We will focus on that. And then we will talk about the impact of this decline. What is the impact, negative consequences of this decline, positive consequences of this decline? We'll talk about both these things. And in the end, we'll talk about what is the way forward for the government. What can the government do in such a situation to arrest this decline? Make sense? Okay, so let's begin. Okay, weakening of rupee. Okay, now what are let's first talk about the causes behind this decline. Okay. First of all, the biggest cause is trade imbalance. Remember this, if your imports are more than your exports, okay, then your current account deficit widens. You are running a deficit. You're importing more. And for importing, basically the money goes out of India because you're buying stuff from foreigners. So money is going out of India. In exports, money is coming into India. So more money is going out of India than the money that is coming into India because imports are more than exports. This increases your current account deficit and rupee falls. Now in recent times, well, exports have become stagnant because of Donald Trump's policies, tariffs and all that. So we are not able to export that much to developed countries. But our imports are rising. Crude oil, electronics, that is rising. So this has caused rupee slide. Then one way to stop this decline in rupee is if in India foreign investments increase. Okay, if there are more foreign investments, then rupee doesn't slide down. It goes up against dollar. But in the recent times, foreign investors have also, well, stopped or not stopped completely, but have reduced their investments in India. They are basically scared of the current economic situation and they want to wait what Donald Trump does to India finally. Okay, what will be Donald Trump's situation with India? Okay, so they are waiting it out. So till the time there is a deal between India and USA, foreign investors are waiting. Therefore, they are not investing in India. Okay, this is one reason. Then, foreign investors invest in India if India has promising growth prospects. But recently, first quarter of this financial year showed slowdown in India's economic growth. So, well, there are subdued growth projections, so foreign investors are a little wary. Clear? And well, overall, developed countries have, well, recently they have reduced interest rates, but they have kept their monetary policy tight. Now, when they keep their monetary policy a little tight, though they have loosened a little bit in recent times, but like if we are talking about past 1 year, well, when they keep their monetary policy tight, returns on investments are more. So returns on investments in USA are more than in India. That is why foreign investors are leaving India and investing in USA. That is also one reason. Now, how does monetary tightening leads to more returns? That we will cover in our economics lectures. Okay, so that is detailed economic analysis. So I can't cover all of that in current affairs lecture. So when you'll cover economics, you'll understand this point. But till now, just understand this. Okay, so these are the 4 reasons. Now, next thing is, when rupee declines vis-a-vis dollar, what are the negative consequences of such a situation? What will happen? What bad things would happen? Okay, so negative consequences. So first of all, we import a lot of stuff. If, let's suppose we imported this pen from USA. Okay, now when $1 was equal to 80 rupees, we Indians had to spend 80 rupees to buy this pen. Now, if $1 is equal to 90 rupees, now this pen has become expensive for us, right? We have to spend 90 rupees to buy this pen. So when rupee declines, imported products become expensive. That increases import inflation. And we import a lot of crude oil, electronics items, right? So inflation is going to rise because of this. Then corporate stress. And this is also important. Listen to me carefully. You see, corporates borrow money. Okay, sometimes they borrow money from India, sometimes they borrow money from abroad. When they borrow money from abroad, they borrow money in dollars, right? These dollar denominated borrowings are called external commercial borrowings. Now, let's suppose a corporate borrower borrowed $100 for 10 years and he has decided that, or the terms of the loan are that for 10 years, he has to pay an interest of $10 every year. Okay, so corporate borrower had borrowed $100 and every year he has to pay an interest, or every year his installment is $10. Clear? For 10 years. This is the term of the loan. Now, when $1 was equal to 80 rupees, he had to spend 800 rupees in installments every year. Now, $1 is equal to 90 rupees, he will have to spend 900 rupees for these installments. Don't you think it would increase debt burden on that corporate? Corporate stress would increase. That would be bad for profitability of Indian companies who have borrowed from abroad. So this is one negative consequence. Then, well, if rupee declines, imports become expensive. And if imports are more than exports, well, it will lead to further current account deficit, further decline in rupee, and this cycle will continue. Okay, poor current account deficit. And consumer burden. Many Indians are, they have this desire of going abroad for tourism, education, health. Now, education services in America, health services in America for Indians, and tourism services for Indians in America, they would become expensive. Why? Because earlier they had to spend 80 rupees to get $1, now 90 rupees for $1. So this would add to consumer burden. But the thing is, everything is not negative. There are some positives also. Okay, what is the positive impact? First of all, when your currency declines, well, your exports or your products also become cheap in the market. If you're exporting this pen and rupee declines, it would become cheap in the market. How? I'll tell you. Let's suppose $1 is equal to 50 rupees. And let's suppose India makes this pen and sells it for 50 rupees. If this pen is sold in USA, it will be sold for $1, right? Now, let's suppose $1 becomes 100 rupees. Yes? Now, India is selling this pen for 50 rupees. What is 50 rupees now? Well, 50 rupees is $0.5 now. So, India now will be selling this pen for $0.5. So, Americans would buy more from India because India is selling this pen for cheap. Your exports become competitive. Your exports increase. Yes. Second, remittances would increase. You have relatives living abroad. Okay, they earn money in dollars and they send money back. Now, earlier when they used to send $1 to you back home in India, they were sending 80 rupees. Now that $1 is equal to 90 rupees, they are sending $1, but you are getting 90 rupees. So remittances, people would benefit remittances. More foreigners would want to come to India for tourism because now they would have to spend little money. Yes, only $1 and they can do shopping for 90 rupees in India. You understand this point, right? So exports are going to become competitive. Remittances are going to increase. Tourism is going to increase in India. And another positive is, since imports are going to become expensive in India, now imports are going to be expensive, this would give more incentive to Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliance. Indians would feel that rather than importing this pen from abroad because it's expensive, let's make it over here. So this would give a boost to Atmanirbharta. Make sense, right? Now, overall, well, positive impacts are less than negative impacts. There is more negative consequences to this situation than positive. Yes, positives are good, but negative is more painful. Therefore, government wants to arrest the decline of rupee. For that, government has various policy tools. Okay, those policy tools are given in your notes. Now, let me warn you, some of it you will be able to understand if you have already covered economics. If you have not, well, just read it, remember it. When you'll cover economics, you'll understand it. Okay, so what can the government do to arrest this decline is mentioned in your notes. Just go through it. It's very simple for those who have covered economics. Make sense? Okay. Now let's quickly move on to second news item, and that is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. And now listen to me carefully. You all know, and we have discussed this in our previous current affairs lectures. Well, there were protests in Ladakh. Yes, and those protests became bloody, violent. It led to police firing, and some people lost their lives. Now, what were the protests all about? We have discussed that. Who was the leader of those protests? Well, the leader was Sonam Wangchuk. We have discussed about him as well in our previous lectures. Now, Sonam Wangchuk was running an NGO. Okay. Now, the thing is, NGOs in India, there are so many NGOs in India, okay, that work. NGOs require money to do or for their operations, basically, to perform their functions, right? Now, some of that money comes from donations, right? Now, those donations can be from India as well as foreign, from abroad. Clear? Now, the thing is, NGOs that are receiving donations, foreign donations, well, government is a little careful of them because India has a lot of enemies. And sometimes these enemies, well, perform subversive activities in India by funding these NGOs. Clear? I'll give you the example of Bangladesh. Okay, Bangladesh, you all know what happened in Bangladesh. There was this student uprising and the elected prime minister was ousted and Muhammad Yunus came to power, right? Many people say that Bangladesh has a network of NGOs and most of these NGOs are funded from Europe and America. Most probably America and Europe wanted to change the regime in Bangladesh. Therefore, they funded these NGOs. These NGOs basically started working on creating this protest and this protest happened and everything changed. So enemies of India and enemies of any country can use these NGOs to subvert democratically elected governments in India, right? And this is primarily done through foreign funding. That is why foreign funded NGOs are, well, within government's radar. Now, to control this foreign funding, okay, not ban it completely, but to control this foreign funding so that it is done in a lawful manner and it is not done to subvert India, right? Government passed a law in 1976 when there was emergency, Indira Gandhi's rule. And that law is called Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Under this law, foreign funded individuals and foreign funded NGOs are regulated. Everything is regulated properly. And any NGO which wants to receive foreign funding has to get a license or registration under this law. Okay. Now, Sonam Wangchuk's NGO was registered under this law and was receiving foreign funding. Recently, government cancelled his registration, his NGO's registration. Now, what is the politics behind all of this? That is not important for us. What is important for us is, what is this FCRA Act? What are its key features? And many other things. Okay, so we'll focus only on that. We won't talk about the political things, who is right, BJP is right or Sonam Wangchuk is right. We won't get into that. We will just focus on FCR. Okay, so let's begin. So Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So about FCRA Act. So, well, it has certain requirements. Any NGO or any individual that wants to receive foreign donations, well, has to fulfill certain requirements that are given in this law. Okay, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So requirements for an individual or NGO. Clear? First of all, they have to register under this act, under this law, mandatory registration, and they can only receive foreign funds through a bank account. No cash or no nothing, bank account. And that bank account has to be in SBI, State Bank of India. So any NGO which wants to receive foreign donations, they can receive that foreign donation only in a bank account in SBI. That bank account is completely regulated by the government, okay? And they have to register. Now, the funds received in that account from foreign areas, well, has to be utilized as per the provisions of this act. Okay, they can't misuse those funds. Regular audits would be conducted. If there is any financial irregularity, license can be cancelled. Clear? These NGOs have also have to file annual returns with Income Tax Department, and they cannot transfer these funds to another NGO. If these funds are received by a particular NGO, it will be used by that NGO. It cannot transfer these funds to another NGO. So these are some of the basic requirements. Some more information we need to gather, okay? So, people or NGOs that are, people or organizations that are completely prohibited from receiving foreign funding. Okay, who are those people? NGOs can receive foreign funding, but which categories of people or organizations cannot receive foreign funds? Well, election candidates, politicians basically, journalists, newspaper and media broadcasters, companies, judges, government servants, IAS officers, members of MLAs, political party office bearers, and organizations of political nature. They are completely prohibited from receiving foreign funding, because we don't want foreign organizations to basically interfere within our democracy, in our democracy. Okay, so this is one. Now, what are the grounds for registration cancellation? On what grounds can the government cancel your license? Okay, so number one, violation of the act. If your NGO has violated any provision of the act. Then false statement in the application. When you filed the application for registration, you gave some false information. That is one ground. If there are financial irregularities, regular audits would be conducted. In public interest. And public interest is one ground on which Sonam Wangchuk's NGO has been cancelled. Okay, that this NGO is being used against public interest of India. So that is one. NGO has not been engaged in any reasonable activity in its chosen field. So an NGO has received funds but is not doing anything for 2 years. Then it can be cancelled. Now, this law is generally criticized. Okay, this law was enacted in 1976 and it was amended in 2010 under Congress government and 2020 under current BJP government. Under these two amendments, well, this law was made even more strong. More powers were given to the government to cancel these NGOs. Okay, to regulate these NGOs. Now, many people have criticized this law. How? They are saying that government misuses this law to go against those NGOs which are against the ruling political party. They are crushing dissent, political dissent through this law. Okay, that is one criticism. That's it. Clear? So basically, if you apply this law fairly, that's okay. But if you are using it or misusing it against your political opponents, that is problem. Okay, this is the criticism against this law. That's about it. All right. And now let's quickly shift our focus to third news item, and that is soilification technology. Now listen to me very carefully. Science has advanced, like science has really advanced. Listen to me carefully. You see, Rajasthan is famous for its deserts, right? And the most famous desert or the most famous landmark in Rajasthan is Thar Desert. Thar Desert contains loose sand, right? Sand dunes and loose sand. Now, in recent times, it has been found that this desert is expanding and moving towards Delhi, NCR region. This desert is expanding. This is known as desertification of land. Because of climate change and many other factors, the area of desert is increasing and moving towards NCR region. Now, we have to stop that because it can harm agriculture in the nearby areas of NCR and create many other problems. Now, one way of solving this problem is, well, if you can convert this desert, if you can convert this loose sand into proper soil, and that proper soil can be used for agriculture or cultivation, well, then this sand won't expand. The existing desert would be converted into green agricultural fields, right? Now, agriculture is impossible in deserts. It is impossible. But if you can convert this desert into proper fertile soil, then agriculture is possible. That's what scientists of India have done. They have converted the loose sand of Thar Desert and Rajasthan Desert area into soil. And this process is known as soilification. Simple. Okay. So what is the science behind this and what are its advantages? We'll focus on that. Okay. We'll quickly finish this topic. Okay. So let's begin. So soilification technology. Okay. So about this technology. So what is the definition of this technology? It is a biotechnology based method to transform loose desert sand into soil-like medium suitable for farming. So there are two processes. Okay. There are organic polymers that are added to this loose sand. These organic polymers basically create a mesh-like structure between sands. So these sands coalesce, come together. Okay. So when you apply polymer application, converting loose sand into structured soil. So this soil is created. Clear? So you apply biopolymers. Okay. Just remember this. What are polymers? That is a different debate. It will lengthen this current affairs lecture. Okay. Just remember these are organic compounds applied to this loose soil, so that loose sand, so that this sand comes together. Then you add some bioformulations. Bioformulation means, well, you add a mixture of bacteria and other microorganisms to this soil. This basically increases microbial activity. These bacteria and these microbes basically increase the organic content in this soil, makes this soil fertile and adds nutrients to it. So now the soil is prepared, and this soil can retain water also, which is required by plants. So you can perform agriculture. So you add two things, polymers and bioformulations. One basically joins these loose sand particles. The other, bioformulations, basically increases microbial activity. And then what happens? The effect is very simple. Well, a soil is formed. It has high water retention. It has increased stress resistance, drought resistance, flood resistance, and crops can adapt. Recently, scientists have shown wheat agriculture on these soilified soils, soilified deserts. Okay. So wheat was successfully grown in this area. Clear? Now, what are the benefits of this? Okay. So what are the benefits? So it will control desertification. Like I told you that this desert is expanding towards the NCR region. That will be controlled. Prevents Thar Desert expansion towards NCR by restoring soil fertility. Then food security. Because now Rajasthan can also cultivate wheat and rice, not rice, but other crops. So food security, water security. Okay. This soil can retain water. So it would recharge groundwater. That is there. High yield ratio. Wheat yield recorded 1 to 20 seed to harvest, twice the output of untreated desert land. So more yield. Low input cost for farmers. Okay. So farmers are happy. And eco restoration. Converts barren deserts into cultivable farmland. So this is a win-win like situation. So remember this term, soilification. Clear? And now let's move forward to last news item, and that is AFSPA expended in Manipur. Okay, this is a short news item. Why I'm not spending that much time on this? Because we have already covered AFSPA in previous current affairs lectures. But those who have not watched those lectures, well, I'll cover this topic of AFSPA in brief. Okay. Now listen to me very carefully. The thing is, well, in those parts of India where security situation is extremely bad, like Northeast region, okay, where insurgency was there, Jammu and Kashmir, where insurgency was there, where security situation is extremely bad, you deploy armed forces to control the security situation. Okay. Yes. Now, armed forces say that we need special powers. Okay. More powers than the normal police in that area has. We need more powers to control this violent situation, to control this problematic situation, because insurgency is, well, the security situation is really bad. Okay. It's not normal times. So because they are not normal times, we need some extra powers. Armed forces say that. Okay. Now, if you'll give us those extra powers, well, we will control this security, this problematic situation, right? So to provide armed forces some extra control, okay, well, Armed Forces Special Powers Act was enacted. Under this, a particular area where security situation is extremely bad will be first declared a disturbed area. Once it's declared a disturbed area, then armed forces would be deployed in that area. And those armed forces would be given special powers. Now, what are those special powers? I'll give you some examples. They would be given special powers to control the problematic situation. Yes, this is what Armed Forces Special Powers Act is. This act provides legal basis, legal framework for giving some extra special powers to armed forces to control poor security situation. Once an area is declared a disturbed area, well, it can remain a disturbed area for 6 months. Okay, this disturbed area tag has to be renewed every 6 months. Okay, and an area has to be a disturbed area for these special powers to kick in. Okay, now AFSPA is in J&K and it is in some areas of Northeast, some districts of Northeast. Now it is there in Manipur, and recently government has decided to extend this disturbed area tag, this AFSPA in Manipur for 6 more months. Like I said, it has to be extended every 6 months. Yes, so that is the situation. So that is why AFSPA was in the news. Clear? So AFSPA extended in Manipur, plain and simple. Now, AFSPA will be applied only in disturbed area. Now, how can you declare a particular area as disturbed area? Well, if that particular area is in a state of India, well, the governor has the power to declare that particular district, locality, area as disturbed area. Governor by notification will declare a particular district or area as disturbed area. If it is a UT, then the administrator of that UT can declare a particular area as disturbed area. Or if both of them are not doing so, central government has the power to declare any area as a disturbed area. Once it has been declared as a disturbed area, okay, a notification is issued, it is published in the Gazette of India, and then armed forces are deployed over there with some special powers. Clear? Just remember, as long as that area is disturbed area, it has the tag of disturbed area, well, armed forces will have special powers over there. And this disturbed area tag is valid for 6 months, and every 6 months it has to be renewed. Clear? Now, what special powers do armed forces get? Very simple. Well, they can fire upon or use force on anyone if they are suspicious that these people are criminals or terrorists. Okay? Then they can arrest anyone without warrant. This is a special power. Police cannot do it. These people can. They can search anyone's house or building without search warrant. Police cannot do it. They can do it. And any action taken by the armed forces, well, they are legally immune from it. If there are some violations, human rights violations, and you want to launch a case against an armed forces personnel, you require the permission of central government. Without that, you cannot launch a case against these people. So they have legal immunity as well. Again, these are extraordinary powers to control an extraordinary bad security situation. Make sense? That's all. That's about it as far as today's lecture is concerned. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it will add more value if you're consistent and regular with this lecture series. And please, please, please do not forget to revise this lecture. It is very important. Otherwise, you'll forget everything. So revise this from the notes. And on that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.